You're watching the Chaos Protocol on Transplanar RPG, an all-transgender, people of color-led dark fantasy TTRPG show set in an original non-colonial, anti-Orientalist multiverse. If you like what you see, please consider pledging to our Patreon to support the show and get access to a patron-only after-show, early podcast episodes, GM notes, character sheets, and even the chance for your tabletop OC to cameo in our series. Thank you so much for watching, and enjoy. The Chaos Protocol is a dark fantasy series that may contain content that is triggering for some viewers. Content warnings for this episode include food, eating, romance, kissing, references to sex, memory modification, anxiety attacks, moths, bodies of water, blood, hunting, fantasy violence, loss of loved ones, and grief. Arc 3, Episode 3, Salting to Ash. From Praying Beside the Teeth That Killed Me by Connie Chong. If your oracle looked up refined in the Syndicate dictionary, you would find a holographic projection of Naeem Zeron's apartment. The floors are a deep, rich mahogany, plants hang from tastefully exposed rafters, floor-to-ceiling windows display a breathtaking view of evening, and the unmistakable scent of incense suffuses the air with warmth. Even the surprise party that greets you smacks of elegance. As the door swings open, you see a living room crowded with friends and loved ones, every single person dressed casually but tastefully, raising flutes of glittering drink in your direction. It is Naeem themself who... Oh my god, can I talk? It is Naeem themself who answers the door. He wears a knit sweater and just a touch of makeup that accentuates the corners of his eyes. And they smile brightly at you, Xainan, their pupils glimmering. Happy 10 years at the Syndicate, old man. Come in, the four of you are letting the warm air out.
Hi.
Try not to look so gobsmacked.
Xainan, who's been holding his hat under his arm, kind of like comes back to himself. The amount of life in this room is almost more than he was prepared to see in a week, let alone being actually inside of Naeem's place for the first time in a minute. And he awkwardly thumbs over the edge of his hat under his arm as he steps inside, taking a deep breath. Alright, you got me.
And Naeem slings an arm over your shoulder and warmly welcomes you in, flashing a grateful nod and wink at the rest of Nova and Cove, letting the three of you enter as well. And as your retinue shuffles in, you see that this room is indeed packed with people, agents and friends, members of the Syndicate from every single department. They are all here to celebrate Xainan Esh. You also see a delicious charcuterie board, 3 different drink stations and punch bowls, all non-alcoholic of course, and low music emanating from Strike Team Phoenix's Oracle, which rotates throughout the space to play this lovely reverie across. And as we push through the crowd, we are going to settle in first on Seir's face, as we see these glimmering warm fairy lights dappling across your cheeks. What present have you prepared for Xainan for this 10-year agentaversary?
So Seir's immediate response in being in Naeem's place is, wow, this is a real nice place. He hasn't really visited a ton of folks' rooms, so this is a unique insight to Naeem, sir, who he's had, he's known for a long time, but probably not been invited over before. And as he kind of stands around, realizes how many people are here, nods to himself, and makes himself a little smaller as he tries to move past folks, past Summer Phoenix to find the first of his presents to Agent Zan and Naim. He had elicited the aid of Naeem, sir, to keep one of the gifts here because it was too big to carry along to the archives. It would have been a dead giveaway. And as he moseys on over to the corner of a room, we see a long draping of fabric over some sort of solid curved instrument. And he picks it up. The cloth itself is this fine purple bit of cloth with light embroiderings of pink cherry blossoms. As he takes it in his hand, shit, did I bring it? And then he taps the side of his pants and realizes, okay, I brought them. And he quickly shuffles on over back to Xainan.
When you arrive, Xainan has actually turned and hung his hat in a familiar place at Naeem's entryway, where there's a hook that's been there for who knows how long, that seems to fit perfectly a hat. And he turns to face you, and I think jumps a little. What?
What do you mean, what? It's a gift. Gifts.
Oh.
For you.
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry, old man. It's your day. 10 years. Happy 10 years. And he pulls something out from his pocket, and you see 2 thick rolls of parchment that is currently tied in a very deep red ribbon. But first, he hands you the curved instrument within this purple cloth. And as soon as you pick it up, Xainan, you know it's a bow. And as soon as you open and reveal the bow, it is a ornamental replica of the birdsong bow that you had in the City of Heaven. It is handmade, hand-carved. Whatever details and embellishments that he couldn't replicate through carving, he hand-painted. And you can tell it was hand-painted. It's ornamental, so don't try to shoot anything from it. It's meant for your wall or a shelf within a wall.
Sure.
You could maybe get one arrow through, but that's about it.
I won't fire it. And Seir, you see that there's a uncertainty behind Xainan's eyes. It's not lack of gratitude. It is almost disbelief, what he is holding. And there is a small tremble to his hand as he runs it over all of the details so lovingly recreated. This is incredible, Seir.
I'm glad you like it. We can't always bring back the things we go and receive from other planes, so I thought you wanted a piece of City of Heaven with you. That's not all though. You see his hand trembles as he's holding this very medium-sized parchment in his hand, and he tenderly pulls at the ribbon to reveal these parchments, and he unfurls it, hands it to you.
And Xainan tries to put the bow where his quiver was, and it's of course not there. He's wearing his person clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And so he just tucks it over his shoulder and holds his hand out to look over the parchment.
As you unfurl it, the first is a fully in charcoal portrait of Zan and Naim. The way Seir has drawn you, and it's obviously Seir that has drawn you, because who else would it have been? But he doesn't volunteer that information. He just hands it to you. And the way he draws you is like a sculptor who tenderly sculpts and molds clay. The details are so gentle, precise, loved. You are it is a portrait of you. So it is you staring out at something, hat on, stylishly, almost like a Western hero of old. And your many draping fabrics are just lightly billowing in the wind.
This is beautifully done. I don't know that anyone's ever drawn me before.
Well,
Huh.
good thing you have two. And then he gently pulls at the second drawing. And it's a drawing of Strike Team Nova. Well, almost all of Strike Team Nova. There are 3 people pictured. Obviously you, Xainan. Of course, Lumièra. And of course, Sing. Seir is not pictured. And it is a memory on the wild sea. All three of you, rather, stood at different areas of the ship, looking out into the night wild sea air.
That really was a wonderful time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
These are amazing, Seir.
I'm glad you like them. It's just some drawings. I thought you might like.
Yeah, and he looks around at Naeem's very well furnished place and thinks about how bleak his personal quarters are, and thinks about all the frames that he doesn't have that he wants to put these in, and just gently runs his fingers over the parchment, and he holds them almost like they could break if he were to hold them too tightly. And he cradles them gently in one hand and reaches out to your shoulder, Seir, and gives you a really firm squeeze. These are amazing. Thank you. You know, I didn't even realize it was my anniversary and you did all this. You all did.
Of course we did this, Xainan. It's 10 years of being an agent, and he meets and reciprocates that like firm shoulder grip from on your own. It's special. It's a milestone, and it deserves to be celebrated. And he like leans in and whispers, "And I think Naeem sir really likes you."
Yeah.
I don't think you need all that research.
Oh. Yeah, these are
You can never go wrong with research. Lumièra says as she strides in between the two of you, and just smiles at you, Seir, and then kind of lightly like elbow checks Xainan. Gotcha, old man.
You definitely did. Conspirers, both of you.
Hey, an agent's gotta know how to be co-conspirators, I'd say. And he like looks over to Lumièra. We smile and share a conspiratorial look over. Naeem sir's had his plan for a little while.
Yeah,
Didn't even suspect a
clever.
thing.
Well, you were
Lumièra.
kind of
What present have you prepared, Xainan, for his 10-year agent-anniversary?
So Lumièra kind of slides back through between Xainan and Seir and walks over to the table, and she picks up this very neatly, ornately wrapped package. It's kind of oblong. It fits in between both of her hands. And she walks over and she gives it to you and like gestures for you to open it. And
Xainan gently sets the drawings and the bow aside, because he would just wear that bow around if he didn't put it down right now. And he finds a nice place to like let it rest in a corner and sets the papers down on like an entry table. he holds his hands out and takes the gift, kind of runs his hands over before he even opens it.
And she gestures for you to
all
open it.
All right.
I'll tell you what it is when you open it.
He does the thing that, when you give someone a gift and you're like, I want to see your face when you open it. And he's like, not purposely, but taking his time, like opening every seam of it. Careful to not hurt the paper or, scratch what's inside it. And he pulls it away, almost like, watching someone fold origami, but in reverse in the least satisfying way possible. And he pulls away the paper and sets it with near the drawings on the other table.
And inside, what you find is a tubular. It almost looks like what's one of those? I can't remember what it's called. It's like the saying thing pirates use.
Oh, a spyglass.
A spyglass, yeah. It's something kind of like that. However, it's brassy gold colored in a sense, and you can see little clock gears that are built into it, but it essentially is a scope for your gun, and you can click down the different lenses for you, so you can like zoom in and out however you need to.
Xainan smiles from ear to ear, picks it up, and immediately, like a kid getting a new favorite toy, puts it over his eye and starts to like look around the room, looks at Seir, looks at Lumièra, and immediately is like fiddling with it.
I just figured.
This is very
good eyesight.
nice. Huh. Even better at a distance now.
Look at him. He's like a kid he's like a kid at a party. Look at all these gifts.
Thank you, Lumièra. This is useful and beautiful. And hopefully it comes in handy.
Yeah. It only took me like a month or so to put it together.
You put this together?
Yeah. And she looks at you like, of course I would.
You're both very skilled at things. This is very well made. This is... Lumièra, this is brilliant.
Flattery will get you everywhere. Pop, pop. And she'll just nudge you again. Happy anniversary.
I'm very lucky to have both of you at my side. I'm truly grateful and honored with all of this. And these are some of the best gifts I've maybe ever gotten. So, you're both too nice to me.
Well, we put up with your mess and you put up with ours.
I was just about to say, remember that when we inevitably get into some sort of trouble on our next mating mission. That's all.
Oh, don't worry. There's not another oil dragon or mist that is ahead of us. We'll be fine. Nothing bad will ever happen to us.
Zan and Ash. Excuse me. Can I steal him for a second? And joining your tight circle is Arush, a wildling person with these leaf wings currently folded very tastefully against his back, and a face made of pure water. And the entire front vertical middle third of his body is made of liquid. This swirling, whispering vertical waterfall that kind of changes cadence and rhythm depending on his mood, and as he speaks, there's a kind of sloshing, whispering noise. Kind of comes up and a wing kind of folds out to tap you politely on the shoulder and look deferentially at Nova and at Naeem. Just a quick word with the 10-year party celebrant.
Arush, yeah, I'll come back to you all soon, but I wouldn't mind being stolen for a little while.
Go right ahead, it's your party.
Mm.
And Seir, Lumièra, have fun mingling. The charcuterie board in particular, delicious. The fishes love the cheese. And they gesture at like a small colony of fish inside their body, nibbling on some brie.
Thank you.
Yeah, Seir and Lumièra, as the two of you walk off, and Naeem also gives you a little squeeze on the shoulder and pats like he's gonna come back to you, but is gonna give you the sidebar. Arush kind of folds his wings back over and takes you, like, a kind of little private moment chat with you, Xainan, and says, well, first things first, a big congratulations on 10 years at the Syndicate. That is a marvelous achievement.
Thank you, Arush. Made better with your help.
Well, you need not flatter me so. Oh, I have a gift for you, of course. This is from everyone at LSSG, myself and Miyat and all the regulars included, and presents you with a beautifully tied together scroll, kind of tied together with a red ribbon, and hands it to you.
Xainan thinks quietly and does not say out loud how many scrolls he has already seen today, that it is a miracle that he is not tired of seeing paper, as he very lovingly unrolls it.
And you see it's a scroll that is maybe your wingspan's width, and as you kind of roll it out and read it, it is a big thank you scroll with personal messages of gratitude and pride from every single member at LSSG that you've helped.
Wow. When you put it in writing, that really does feel like a lot of people, doesn't it?
You've touched many lives, Zan and Ash, not just as a agent, but as a mentor at LSSG, and that's actually what I wanted to talk to you about. I know before, well, everything happened, we were maybe discussing the possibility of you taking over my role as the leader of LSSG. Have you gotten a chance to revisit that yet, or?
The thing is, Arush, and I never want to abandon LSSG. It is very important. In fact, LSSG is why we are here specifically, if you recall.
Of course.
But, I have... And he looks over his shoulder at his family. His new family. At Nova. I have found myself called by fate, quite personally, to continue on this path.
Three pinpoints of light underneath the surface of his face, which look like three flashlights shown through water, swivel in the direction of Seir and Lumièra, and then back at you. And then Arush nods in understanding. There's a little disappointment, but it's nothing huge, right? He was kind of expecting this and says, of course, I completely understand that your priorities are with the ones you love, your strike team. I figured I might as well shoot high.
You can keep asking, and maybe in another 10 years, I might have a different answer.
And a gurgling laughter comes out, and the surface of the water moves joyously. Well, maybe I shall in another decade. But don't let me keep you from your friends and your loved ones. Congratulations again. Happy anniversary.
It is always good to see all of you. And he looks at the fish and the verdant greenery and just the massive water. He is very fond of Arush, and even though he is awkward in turning down yet another ask, he has a lot of very kind and fond memories of working with Arush at LSSG, so he is excited that he is here.
Yes, the two of you have basically been nothing but very positive and friendly colleagues, maybe even light friends at this point, and Arush places a watery hand on your shoulder, but as always, when it comes away, your shoulder is nothing but dry, and lets you go. And as Arush ambulates away from you, Xainan, they kind of sidle politely past Seir. Where do we find you after you've dispersed?
I think there's a moment where Seir like I think we exchanged small talk with Lumièra like briefly before she inevitably heads to a different direction, far more confident than he is with mingling with other folks. And Seir's at the charcuterie table with the drinks and is currently nursing a drink in his hand. The cup is so small in his large hands, and a small plate of like cheese and little meats and stuff. And now that he's done the first step when you've attended a party, which is, social, you do the thing for the person whose birthday party. Second step, grab food and drink. He looks at all the people. And the introverted reservation habits of Seir begin bubbling up. Hasn't been invited to a lot of parties, and he doesn't really know what to do or how to mingle, really. So he just kind of looks at everyone in attendance. I think there's a moment where he like makes sure that the presents he gave Xainan are still in the same place. And I think he finds like a little area that's near a pillar or a shelf or something, and he kind of just like stands there for a moment to get an overview, almost like a little hunter of everyone who's here, to determine who is most available to talk. And I think his eyes like fall on Cove, and it was just like, I don't want to piss Lumièra off, and we will definitely fight. Like moves past Cove, looks at the rest of Phoenix. Oh, they're busy with Naeem, and he just is looking on really awkwardly at
God.
The
yeah, like you're a drowning man
party.
at sea looking for
He is drowning. His hand is up. He's begging.
Yeah, I've been there. No, for sure, I've been there. You're like, okay, I'm gonna like busy myself with getting food. I'm gonna like look busy so no one thinks I'm being awkward. And then you stand off and you stare by yourself. And we see people like walking by, people talking in like groups of 3, 4, 5, groups of 2, and like no one's really looking at you as you're looking around, standing next to Naeem's beautiful television, right? This like big holographic screen. You're kind of floating next to it, and then you see 2 people that you do recognize, who, as soon as your eyes fall on them, they seem to sense you look and turn to look at you. 2 members of the Wild Hunt. It is Long and Kamar. And Long, of course, is tall, muscular. She's got tan skin. She's got this black hair braided down her back, shaved at the sides, and one of her eyes is made of jade. And her usual double bronze spears are kind of piece-tied at her back, as she's wearing like a nice kind of suit. And Kamar, of course, is a slender person with this dark brown skin, this curly white hair. They wear this gold and red headscarf and with these white robes underneath, and they can summon spiritual energy and create projectiles made of spirit fiber, basically. But none of these are visible right now, as there's no reason to fight. And both Kamar and Long make eye contact with you at the same time. And perhaps to your relief, Long lets out a friendly smile and waves at you, motioning for you to join the 2 of them.
And Seir exhales and says, "Thank fate. Okay." And then confidently marches over to 2 of the members of the Wild Hunt. And he waves over to them and says, "Hi there. How are you both? It's nice to see you."
Dips their head politely at you and raises like a flute of glittering drink in their hand, while Long like places a hand congenially on your shoulder and gives you a small wolfish smile. Hey, you must be proud of your old man.
10 years, yeah. And he like looks over to Xainan. I just hope he has fun tonight. I mean, he takes care of us so much that...
Oh, he's going to be swarmed with adulations all night long. Don't you worry about him.
Maybe I should be worried about him when he hears that he's going to be swarmed with adulation. And I think turns back to the 2 of them. It's just like, so how have the Wild Hunt been? Did you all go with Artemis on their mission?
And Long and Kamar kind of look at each other briefly, and they share like a knowing look. And then Long nods and politely turns to you and smiles and says, "Oh, we don't talk work when we're off the clock. But, in terms of other things we've been doing, we had bowling night last night, the Wild Hunt. I had a flawless game." Almost flawless, says Kamar with a little bit of resentment at the end of that.
And like as soon as the topic of work vanishes out of Seir's ether, he's like a drowning man looking for a single stray log that he could grasp onto, and the topic of work log has vanished out of sight.
And horrifically, the torrent gets worse as Long says to you, "What about you? How do you spend your time, Seir? What do you do for fun?"
Fun. I train. I spend a lot of time at the training cycles and training protocols and the training oracles.
Well, of
in my
course, training
time.
is fun, but what do you do when you're not training?
Well, I sometimes Nova meets up for things like lunch and dinner.
What about when you're not eating to live or training for missions? Do you, And I think an awkward silence plays out for a few beats too long, and Kamar's eyes flit to the birdsong bow, which is still on that table, and back to you and says, "That bow, it's gorgeous. Did you craft and paint it yourself?"
Thank you. Yes, I did. I mean, not entirely by myself. I had the smithy's help with the. I've never really crafted a bow from scratch before.
You
Artemis...
should take some compliments when they come your way. Kamar really doesn't dish those out freely.
Thank you. I did make them. Artemis taught me how to string bows when I was younger. And Xainan's weapon turned into a bow when we were in the City of Heaven, and I thought that he'd like that.
Well, that's very thoughtful of you. You've got an artisan's eye.
Thank you. It's something I do sometimes in my room. Art, I mean.
So there you have it. Art. What you do for fun.
Yeah. And Seir is like coming to this own understanding in his own head of like when he does art and realizes that is, I guess, also a pastime and a hobby. Yeah, I sometimes draw and craft in my spare time.
Another brief, awkward silence, and Long says, "Oh, Mnemosyne, we'll be right back, or you know what? Enjoy. We'll free you from this conversation."
Yeah,
we need
no,
to catch
of
up with
course.
Girlfriend.
I'm looking forward to seeing you later for our rematch.
Yeah, see you around, big dog.
Yeah.
And pats you twice on the back.
Yeah, see you.
And goes.
Seir weakly raises a hand and goes, "I think that went okay."
We whisk across the party to a different corner of Naeem's apartment to find Lumièra. Lumièra, how are you socializing or not socializing? And what's going through your mind as you're doing so?
Wildly enough, Lumièra is, while she does know a lot of the people in here, either from Strike Team Phoenix or LSSG, she's been doing like this very uncharacteristic, well, yeah, it's kind of uncharacteristic for her, like small like loop around like the charcuterie board table, but like not staying too close, so it seems like she's using the snack table as a crutch, but just enough further away so that it could like give off the semblance of like mingling and somewhat. And she kind of was like hoping that Seir would stay at the table so that she could have something to distract her from, but when he walks off, she's like, "Great, all right," and just goes back over to the table and like grabs some more like pepperonis and like cheese and crackers and just kind of is holding her plate and walking around herself, essentially. She's not trying to call too much attention to herself and the fact that she's there, but Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just
as
a
you
lot going
ambulate-
on right now.
It is. There's a lot. It's not loud. Like, this isn't like a house party, but there's just a lot of people and they're all talking. The vibes are good, but there's just a lot of vibes. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
everyone's there. You recognize too many people, and as you like put some salami on your plate, you're like, okay, a task I can focus on. You hear a voice, and you catch it out of everyone else because you recognize the voice, and the voice is saying a name you recognize, not your own, but Seir. And it's Amaru. Kind of maybe half a dozen feet away, next to the punch bowl, which is on a different table, but kind of close to yours, you see from the corner of your eye Amaru approaching Seir with a kind of friendly look on Seir's face.
Lumièra is like, do I go save Seir? Or do I put myself in that predicament?
And as we zoom in on Amaru and Seir, Lumièra, you overhear every part of this conversation, by the way, because your ears are pricked. Amaru has found you at the punch bowl, Seir. Actually, both of you were reaching for the ladle at the same time.
Oh, sorry, Hendrix.
Seir. No, it's all good. Go ahead.
Thank you. Let me pour one for you too. And he like reaches out his cup, pours in his side of the drink of punch, and then leans over towards Amaru and just is like, yeah, let me bring your cup here. Yeah. There we go.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And though Amaru was the same kind of muted, almost not standoffish, but rather like above it all kind of vibe, there is something undeniably happy about Amaru right now. Z almost seems like Z is glowing. And Z has decorated Seir's skeletal right arm, which is encased in gold plating, with these nice like black hand-drawn charcoal loops on it to like kind of fit the elegantness of the situation, and accepts gratefully the punch cup from you.
There you go.
So, congratulations, of course, to your team members' 10-year agentaversary. That is a big milestone.
Oh, thank you. No, Xainan is one of the best agents of Trans, and he's great. He deserves this big party. Thank you, Phoenix, and Naeem. I'll say my thanks to Naeem later. For hosting all of this and doing a lot of the planning. I'm sure it was a lot of work on your part.
Oh, of course. Naeem took the lion's share, but each of Phoenix, we frequent this place a lot, and we were able to help set up a bit. But hey, you know what? And Amaru raises the punch glass in your direction and says, I know our teams have had some friction in the past before, but I'm hoping this will all be water under the bridge. Xainan and Naeem getting on better terms, Lumièra and me getting back together. All of this is just going back where it should be. And he clinks his glass against yours.
Seir raised his glass for the clinking, and as soon as Amaru says the latter half, there's a moment, a very, very heavy silence, as his cup is still aloft, holding it up. What?
Sorry, let me repeat myself. Everything feels like it's going back the way it should. Naeem and Xainan on good terms, Lumièra and myself getting back together.
Oh.
And everything...
Seir stands there and he tries to spot Lumièra anywhere in the crowd, but for whatever purpose he can't find her. His mind is going a million miles per hour. He just sits there with his glass, and just a flurry of thoughts occupy and discombobulate him as he sits there and he thinks. And I think there's a slight amount of clumsiness where he thinks to himself but accidentally says out loud, when did that happen? And as he does, there's a moment in his own interiority where he is confused. This feels like a big deal. He knew that Amaru and Lumièra were dating at one point, and that it abruptly ended, and that something happened, and there was some tension and bad blood, but he didn't He wasn't privy to the details, and honestly, he's protective of Lumièra, so why would he ask? You know.
Amaru's face slowly falls, and it's like watching a hand slowly move over the surface of the sun and drown it into darkness by the time that you're done having your face journey and you say that last bit out loud. And the dots start to connect in Amaru's mind. He like slowly lowers his glass down away from yours and says, right, of course, she, didn't tell you. And
Seir,
he tries his best, but he cannot disguise the thunderbolt of hurt that goes across his face.
And that strikes Seir a little bit. Again, a flurry of thoughts like erupt in Seir's mind of like, oh God, this person is heartbroken. I'm seeing the pieces of them actively falling out, and I'm the only one here to witness it. What happens to the bright sun? Please come back. He's just like in his mind's eye, waiting for that brightness, and it's immediately shrouded by gray. And he sits back and he's just like, "What do I do? What do I do?"
I think as your paralyze is spiraling a little, we push back to you, Lumièra. You overheard all of this. There's a moment where Seir was looking for you, his head kind of swiveling on a pivot, where... Did you duck? You literally...
That's so right of her.
Lumièra's sitting over there that entire time, and she's like, "No, please don't say anything. Don't say... They said it. They said it. He's looking, boop, and just underneath the table.
You go under the table. Okay.
I drop to the floor and crawl under the table.
Yeah, you get on your hands and knees and you
God.
like sidle under the table. You kind of like hunch up under here and you look, and all you can see are feet and legs, right? Like the hems of robes and dresses, right? And trousers going by, loafers and bare feet and sandals and whatnot, socks. You're looking, and the noise of Amaru and Seir thankfully gets drowned out a little by the height as you squanch underneath. But you unfortunately still recognize their legs and their feet. And you notice, what else is we were gonna see? Anyway, and you notice a pair of combat boots that very much belong to Cove start to kind of scope forward, giving the punch bowl a wide berth, but then like pause sort of near the area where you were, and then turn as though Cove is looking for you. And then you also see another pair of, two pairs of feet actually, come out from like the right side of the table. And you notice these like really tasteful brown loafers as belonging to Nafisa. And kind of like bare hooves essentially belonging to Miat, Nafisa's current partner. And Nafisa kind of steps forward and like is kind of standing with such a posture in such a way that you get the feeling she's looking for you as well.
I have to get out of here right now. And I think Lumièra just tries her hardest to crawl from under the table. But I think in the meantime, I think she accidentally, like in her flurry of trying to get out, accidentally like knocks the table a bit and trying to get out, and it like scratches along the floor a bit, enough for people to hear. Not enough to like completely distract them, but it's definitely loud enough like the record skips on the radio or something like that almost. And people are like, but then immediately go back to it. And she's like sitting under the table, and her eyes are so wide and frantic, because she is just like, oh, they heard that. Everyone's gonna hear. And I think she notices Nafisa's feet and their partner's feet, but I think is still trying to sidestep just a bit. I was supposed to come here for snacks and give Xainan this gift, and then I was gonna go back to the room, and now Amaru's talking to Seir, and That's my fault for agreeing to be his date, but I would have just told him anything just to get them to shut the fuck up so I could go back to sleep. And realizes all of this and realizing that she can't really do much hiding anymore. So she kind of like stands up in front of like Nafisa and brushes her knees and hands off. Hey, Feast.
Oh! Nafisa exclaims in surprise as you pop up, like right next to her. And Miat also kind of does a double take. Oh, Lumièra. And Nafisa, of course, is dressed to the occasion as well, has this makeup that kind of accentuates fair, like vitiligo across fair, kind of deep brown skin. And Miat, fair partner, is, of course, a person with deep purple skin and these curved, mismatched horns. One kind of a slender auger that goes upright, and the other kind of a curved ram's horn that goes below their jaw. And the stars on their robe are constantly glittering, and they are right now, of course, also glittering. And Nafisa says to you, Lumièra, there you are. Were you under the table?
No.
Okay. Hey, listen, Miat, I'm so sorry. Do you think you could get me another one of these? As like a clear reason for Miat to give the two of you some privacy, Miat nods and takes the empty glass and sidles away. Nafisa turns back to you a little bit with
Good
clear... And Miat kind of waves at you and says, good to see you as well. Sorry. I don't know, sorry, bye. Yeah, kind of walks off. And Nafisa just kind of face palms a little and goes, don't mind them. And concern is clear on fair face as she looks at you and says, hey, listen, and her eyes travel between you and Amaru, and then you and Cove, and then you and Seir. And you see a understanding settle in her face and looks back at you. Can we talk?
Outside? Yeah, outside. Outside is so good. Outside is great. You know what's outside? Outside. Air.
Listen, Lumièra, we also don't have to talk right now. If you just need a minute.
Air, please.
Okay, great. Air. All right. And Nafisa moves with you in a familiar fashion toward the front door, right? And, opens up the door and, kind of escorts you out into the hallway, and the door closes behind the two of you. And then all the sounds kind of drown out to, the nice muted quiet of just the corridor.
I'm so tired. And Lumièra just starts pacing back and forth through the hallway, just small circles, oval, round and round and round.
Yeah, you've always overworked yourself, Lumièra. That's no big secret. But, everything okay with you and Seir and, dare I say, your name, Amaru? Cove?
We are all good. It's just, it's definitely a lot going on right now, actually. Me and Amaru are sleeping together again.
I want to say I'm surprised, but I'm kind of not.
It's weird thing. I think they're doing too much, and I think they think this is a bit more than what it actually is, and is in there talking to Seir. Not that I mind that they talk to Seir. It is Seir's always been my best friend, so it's not that it's There's just a lot.
Yeah.
It's just a lot.
Yeah, totally. Do either of them know about Cove? Because I'm pretty sure I'm reading that right. You could tell me to fuck off, too.
Kindly fuck off.
Okay, heard. Do you need another minute out here? Are you coming back?
I'm just actually gonna head out.
Okay.
I have some work back in the warehouse to do, and I really just came to show my face and give Xainan his gift. So thank you.
Yeah, totally. Hey, and Nafisa closes the distance between the two of you and reaches out to gently take your forearm in her hands. I'm really glad to see you tonight.
The feeling is mutual.
And I know
Thank
you're
you
gonna
for
go
always
off
being a
and...
friend.
Yeah, of course. Of course, Lumièra. Even, with all of our history and whatnot, like, you're still one of my closest friends. So I care about you, okay? You can always talk to me about anything. I know things have been especially hard after Sing, but I'm still here for you. I'll always be here for you.
Same here.
And listen, I know you say you're gonna go off and do more work, but please, for the love of fate herself, can you get some rest? And I'm serious, okay? I'm not gonna fuck off if you tell me to fuck off. You actually have to go and get some rest, okay?
This is now a derogatory fuck off. And Lumièra smiles.
I'll cover for you, okay? Whatever work you have to do.
Cool. If you see Xainan, just tell him I got
let him know.
tired. Yeah.
Yeah, he'll understand.
I'm gonna head out.
Now go, Lumièra. Go fall asleep.
Yeah. Sleep sounds good.
Okay.
And
See you around.
yeah. And Lumièra is a little less tense as she makes her way out, but she's not heading in the direction of where, like, her house is. She's actually going in the direction towards the grove. She needs some silence right now for a bit.
Your feet take you toward Artemis's office, and as you sidle down the hallway and round the corner, we push back through the doors of the party to find Xainan Esh. Xainan, the party tonight so far has been just a marching parade of people coming up to you, congratulating you, giving you gifts, reminiscing about old times. You've made 10 years worth of memories at this place, and everyone seems really happy and proud of you. And all these gifts, there's not been a single bad gifts. All of them have been heartfelt, thoughtful, really expensive for some reason, or just really well made. And I think as kind of the last person sidles away, who's Sumali, this little telepathic Shiba Inu, kind of trots away after depositing some very well-made artisanal dog treats in your hand. You hear the unmistakable sound of hooves over carpet transitioning to mahogany wood slats as Kenzo Hirose finally kind of ambulates through the crowd and tries to catch you in the middle of this break you have. Raises a big tanned hand and kind of calls out across the room, "Hey, Ash!"
And Xainan is like putting lovingly putting the dog treats in a pocket somewhere very nice, and genuinely is trying to put them away nicely, but also is like now taking extra attention on it as to be like, oh, if I don't look, he won't see me.
But you continue to hear him approach and get closer and say, "There you are, Ash. Yeah, I've been waiting for a chance to catch you all night."
Hey, Kenzo, I didn't see you. He definitely did. I mean, Kenzo is tall, centaur person, so there's no world in which Xainan, keen-eyed Esh did not see Kenzo. But the moment he actually looks up at his friend, like one of his only just friends that he has at the Syndicate, all he can see is the moment in the fields from a little bit ago, like yesterday. He is seeing the moment where Lumièra maybe did some time magic right in front of one of his only friends at the Syndicate and, subverted the will of fate in front of everyone at Trans for a second there. And the fact that Kenzo doesn't remember. Just Xainan tightens his teeth.
Kenzo has known you a long time and reads the discomfort and the clear avoidance on your face. Pauses a little, and then continues onward with a little bit less of a booming voice, a more of a calm one, a reassuring one, and says, listen, Ash, you don't have to worry about Lumièra, okay? She's going to settle into her new calling. Solar powers! That's great for a guy like me. Maybe I could convince her to come join our department instead. I might poach her.
Huh. You keep threatening to poach the good talent from the hands. They're gonna get worried. I'm just sorry for all that.
Oh, no problem. Young agents coming into their own across the Syndicate, causing a bit of a ruckus. I mean, that's the name of the game here at Trans. You yourself, hot shot that you were, 10 years strong here now. I remember when you first rolled up into the Syndicate, you got a chip on your shoulder and something to prove.
Yeah, I sure has been a long way to get here. He looks around the room at faces that knew him when he was much more brash. Thinks of some of the stories that people have directly told to him, like word for word of things that he did a decade ago that maybe he wouldn't do now.
Kenzo catches your eye and gives a kind of booming laugh, and then settles back in and says, I've got a gift for you as well. I'm sure you are inundated with gifts, so I'll make this one brief. And he kind of reaches into a small pouch. As he opens it, you smell freshly churned earth, and he pulls out a small cutting of a cherry branch off of a small sapling and presents it to you. It's from her tree, the one you planted.
Wow, it's already, you grow things so quickly.
Time is funny here at the Syndicate. Moves faster in some places, slower in others.
Yeah, this is coming in beautifully. Thank you.
I figured, of course, you might like to have one for your room too. Spruce up the old place.
I don't have any plants in there. Maybe
that doesn't
maybe
feel right, Esh. Yeah. A man like you should be surrounded by greenery, nature, sunlight.
That's why I come to you. You trying to get rid of me?
Maybe I'm trying to poach you from yourself.
That would not be the first time. This is beautiful, and I am very grateful. And just don't put too much expectation on Lumièra's new ability. It's complicated.
Of course. I completely understand. I was joking about the poaching, of course. The place she belongs is with you. I can see it. Strike Team Nova, the three. Rather, he says, Strike Team Nova, the four of you. Excuse me, the three of you. You're a unit, you're a family.
Yeah. And she is a damn fine healer.
That she is. Oh, and those sun powers are just going to speed that all right up. Nothing as healing as the fresh air outside and a nice ray of sunshine.
Yeah. You can't get too much of it, though. Well,
That's
thank
right.
you.
You're gonna get tan lines like me, and he kind of pulls up his nice t-shirt.
All right.
To reveal,
You don't need to
huge
come
rippling
showing
muscles.
those off here.
You're not the only one with a crack shot and guns like these. He kind of rolls his shoulder back. As he does, you hear very familiar footsteps approach you from behind and a gentle tap on your shoulder. And Naeem is there in a whisk of incense. Excuse me, Kenzo, do you mind if I steal Xainan for a second? Yes, by all means, please.
Thank you, Kenzo.
Kenzo inclines his head at you and goes off. And Naeem kind of turns to face you fully.
Xainan turns to face Naeem and is very close to him.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I bet.
And the strained smile that was becoming genuine on his face talking to Kenzo grows into maybe one of the warmest smiles we have seen from Mr. Xainan. Hey.
Hey. And Naeem Zahran has never really worn his heart on his sleeve before, but this is one of these rare moments that he does. And his eyes are like unblown starlight as he says to you quietly, like there's no one else in the room here, I got a gift for you. Follow me.
Huh. All right. And Xainan walks closely at Naeem's side.
And Naeem leads you through the room to the balcony. As the two of you step out to the balcony, we push back through his apartment to find Seir. Seir, this is the dying throes of your conversation with Amaru at the punch bowl. It's truly just in the death flares of this discussion. I think an awkward silence has settled in as the two of you have realized that there has been a misunderstanding, a miscommunication, and a lack of discussion.
And Seir is going through his mind of the things he can do about this. There really isn't much, and there are two major options that appear in his mind. The first one is lie, and Seir, who hates lying, considers maybe this is the time that he should lie. The second option is to defend Lumièra. You know, this is her business, and we've been friends for the longest time. Maybe the best way through this is just to
double
defend
down
her. And he starts off with the first option, being like, "No, Hedrix, I mean that I don't think anything of it, you know. Lumièra's had a lot on her plate, and you know we just got back from the city of heaven.
Don't just it's fine.
Here's the thing, though. I'm her childhood friend, yes, but that doesn't necessarily mean she has to tell me everything. I'm sure she's told some people, like Xainan. She might have told Xainan.
Seir, you are a lot of things. You're not a bullshitter. Okay, so don't start with me. But there's no venom in that, just a kind of sadness. Never gonna be good enough, huh? Just forget it. You know what? Enjoy the party. And Amaru kind of buttons himself back up very quickly after that, like puts a bit of pep back into Zair's step, and puts on this kind of like devil-may-care smile, and then takes up his punch glass and ambulates away.
I think we fucked that, Patience. I think we fucked that real bad.
Patience wiggles awkwardly against your hip. And then Ash is there. Ash has filled the space that Amaru has left. The final member of Strike Team Phoenix, this unassuming willowy person with these rammed horns and horizontal sheep-like pupils, kind of like sidles up right next to you.
And Seir immediately puts everything together and braces himself for this particular conversation and signs to Ash. Hi, Ash.
Ash
How are you
isn't
doing?
looking. Ash isn't looking at you immediately at first. Their pupils are actually fixated on Amaru. And there's an expression of not hurt necessarily. There's a little bit of hurt, sure, but mostly just disappointment. And a memory flashes in your mind's eye of Amaru slinging an arm over Ash in some hallway at the Syndicate, and then you're back in the present. And then Ash turns to you without missing a beat and signs back, "At least Naeem's happy."
Yeah. At least he is. And I think as he watches Ash watch Amaru, he looks over at the back of retreating Amaru and thinks to himself, Lumièra's embarrassed of that, ashamed, does not really want that connection. What would happen if we were ever... Nah.
And as you sip your punch, we push out to the balcony. Xainan, you and Naeem are the only two people out here in this balcony. And as Naeem shutters the door behind you, the sounds of the party kind of become muted. And out here, a breeze kind of wafts over the two of you. You can see the entire residential courtyard laid out like a miniature forest underneath you, and a blanket of stars glittering down overhead, painting the two of you in deep purples and stark starlight.
You know, you do throw one hell of a...
And Naeem leans their hip against the balcony railing, his back to the horizon, looking at you, and says, "You know, I would have hung the stars in the sky if I could, for you, for this moment. But thankfully, the Syndicate is pretty enough on its own."
And for a moment, looking up at Naeem Zahran is not a dusty, cracked, sad, old agent of trans, but a starry-eyed farm boy. He stops looking at the stars that Naeem may as well have hung and looks at them. Looks them over from the top of their horn all the way down and takes a deep, comforted, happy breath and leans just a little closer to Naeem.
And when you look at Naeem, he doesn't present himself as the harried, overworked, academic agent with too many scars to count, but rather the young, ambitious, frightfully intelligent spirit mage who had something to prove just like you when he got here. You close the distance a little, and that youth that is also experience shudders across his face with a brightness. And he reaches into his pocket and pulls out a closed fist. Whatever this present is small enough to fit inside the palm of their hand, the fingers obscuring it. Here's your gift.
Xainan does not immediately go for the hand. His fingers run very cautiously up Naeem's side before just scooping gently under his hand.
He reacts to your touch with such deep familiarity. Not like he's sparking at it in surprise or even in joy necessarily, but rather that he's settling into it. Like you would settle into your bed after a long, hard day of work. And one by one, he uncurls each finger to reveal a beautiful, frightfully small and fragile, but precious white moth. And as his fingers come unsplayed, the moth spreads its wings to reveal a glittering dust
Beautiful.
I thought you'd like her. And the moth kind of craws leg over leg, tentatively over the finger onto your knuckles.
Hey there.
She kind of moves her furry little antenna as though hearing what you're saying and cocks her head to the side.
She's beautiful, but what's she for?
There was a clutch of eggs from home. She's the only one that survived. I've been trying to get them to hatch for so long. I want you to name her.
And Xainan immediately doesn't even try to hide it, begins to cry. Home, that feeling of it, holding not just the hope of home from Naeem, but from every conversation they've ever had about home. I think Sorna's a beautiful name.
Sorna. Well, and Naeem kind of leans in towards Sorna with a small smile on their lips. Welcome to the world, Sorna.
A survivor like both of them.
Bound by fate. And Naeem's eyes flick from Sorna to you, and he doesn't pull away. You're only inches away now.
With this delicate moth named after Xainan's ma resting on his hand, he places a firm placement of his hand on Naeem's chest, gently pets his hand back and forth, and leans in for a kiss.
He kisses you back immediately. The stars blink and smile and weep above your heads. And it feels familiar and it feels new. And it feels like someplace you've never been before, but most of all, it feels like home. And we pulled a black.